Hello everyone, this is Flammy and welcome back to another subscriber base review video. So we're here with Town Hall 7 today, and we've got a couple of them here. Now if you want to have your own base included in one of these future videos, you can do the following. Go to my Facebook page and like it, and then look for an update post, a status update on the weekend sometime, and I'll be asking for subscriber base reviews. Also, sometimes if I don't know exactly what level I want to do, I'll put up a poll and have people vote on the poll. So this week, Town Hall 7 absolutely dominated a couple other Town Hall levels in the poll. So here we are with Town Hall 7 bases as requested. Now the first one here is Noob Slayer of Noble by Design Clan. Alright, so look at this base here. So walls are doing pretty good. I like the fact that you're getting up to this gem level walls. That's a good idea. I recommend probably maxing out everything to gems until before doing many to 8, and that's because level 5 wall breakers take a lot to get through. However, in terms of, let's talk about your outside buildings first. So you got like one build's hut in the corner, one up there, one over there. Okay, that's alright. I would recommend moving buildings such as this elixir collector and these barracks closer to the walls. Now what that will allow is for your defenses to be fully within range, to be able to kill the things that are attacking when they're within range. So for example, right now, if I took an archer, I could probably place an archer, looking at these, maybe right here to attack this barrack. That'd be a close one. But in cases like this over here, for sure, archers can take out these army camps without activating the defenses. You don't want anyone to get in free damage like that, so that's more important than pushing these buildings out a bit, which does create a larger spawn denial area. You do have an interesting thing going on here with, you've got a split right here, so this area right here, enemies can spawn in there. I'm not sure if that's intentional. You might have some traps in there. That could be sort of clever. But you want to be aware, because that means wall breakers especially could be spawned in there, especially if some other units came in first to distract. Now, I see you do have Healer Giant as your army composition, so that's my favorite, obviously, as you're probably very aware. And this army composition looks a lot like mine, so you know what? I'm going to approve of that. The level 2 healers, level 4 giants especially, yeah, that's good. You've got well-upgraded units beyond that. Wall breakers are the only ones in here that are not maxed out for your Town Hall level, but that's fine. Just you need to know whatever level wall breakers you do have, how many it takes to get through each type of wall. I'm going to try to get through more bases on this video, so I'm going to try to keep it to a couple tips just like those ones. So I'm going to wrap it up on this one. Overall, though, this base was pretty good. I like it. You do have some good compartments, and I like how your wall upgrading strategy is going. One thing I'm going to say is I did check this before I started recording. Be sure you fill up your clan castle. There's no reason not to, unless, of course, your clan isn't very active right now. In which case, yeah, that's not good. They're only helping in defense, so just try to keep that full when possible. Alright, good job, Noob Slayer. Let's head on to the next base. Alright, here we are with John L. from HKG2. Wow, so this is a pretty pimped out Town Hall 7 base, and got some interesting features in here. Let's talk about this. This is interesting for sure. So, probably the most striking thing is the Barbarian King is level 5, which means you've been both at a high trophy count, which I can tell, very high, 17. That's very high for Town Hall 7. And another thing that's striking, so you've been up that high to get enough Dark Elixir is my point. Another thing that's very, very interesting is the fact that your gold storages are exposed. So what do I mean by that? So here's your gold storage, and here's an opening in the wall. I would suspect that you've got a bomb or a spring trap right there in that first hole. A spring trap would be fairly effective. The only downside of a spring trap is they're better against giants, and bombs are better against goblins. And that's because giants, or goblins and bombs, there's no limit to the number of units a bomb will hit, whereas a spring trap is limited to 15 supply. So it could, either one though would be effective at killing goblins while they attack this Dark Elixir storage. Now, you do have a gap right here, so there could be a Tesla in there. However, that could also be a really good spot to have a giant bomb. Same thing with down here on this side. So you've got a hole right here, actually two of them really. So you could have two traps. Then maybe you have a giant bomb or Tesla in there. So either one, giant bomb or Tesla, could prove very effective. It's very interesting that you've chosen to do this. It really shows that you're disregarding collecting resources and you're just going for the trophies. And I'm sure you do get a certain number of people who attack regularly just going for that and don't even try to get a win. For example, if I was attacking this base and I wanted elixir, maybe I'd only deploy, if I had 50 goblins, maybe I'd just deploy them out here to go get this, and well, some archers and stuff. Maybe a couple giants to distract the wizard tower, and then just quit, and then that would result in a win for you. That's definitely one way to get some defensive wins. I'm sure not all of your attacks are like that. And let's look at the rest of your defense and how they compare. Clan Castle, guys. Got a couple archers. Definitely want to fill it up, as always. Maybe you have shield right now, so that would definitely explain that. So your mortars, they are all maxed out at level 5, so that's a good job. Your wizards, level 4, and level 4, good, they're maxed as well. I'm not too surprised to see that, really, because given the fact that you've had enough time to get your Barbarian King up to level 5, you probably play enough that you're able to upgrade those. However, it's sort of interesting to note that your cannons and your archer towers are a bit under-leveled. So this cannon, the max at Town Hall 7 is level 9 cannon. So these cannons are a bit low-leveled. Let's see, is this one it? 8 as well, 8 as well. Alright, but most notably the archer towers as well. So level 7, level 8, level 8. And these are expensive because I'm slowly getting my own up as well right now. But keep working on those as I see that you're doing. Now, let's see, air defenses, I mean, you've got 2, and you're upgrading the second one to level 3. You've left the other one behind, although this is nicely upgraded as well, so that's probably to compensate. In these gaps in the center here, I'd expect you have air bombs and maybe even air-seeking mines, and that's a good decision. Where is your Dark Elixir? So it's right there, so it doesn't look like you have much. You've got like none, so you probably either just started or just did a Barbarian King upgrade, or you just spent some on an air mine. I'd probably say the air mine, just given the fact that the Barbarian King is sleeping and not actually upgrading, but it's hard to tell. Let's check your army composition. You do have some Dark Elixir troops in here. Minion. Once again, similar army composition to mine. I'd be curious how your giants work in this. You might have seen in my last video I am trying out something with less giants, just more infantry. But, yeah, the fact with giants is just level 4 giants and level 2 healer just against Town Hall 9s, which is what you're going to be facing at 1700 trophies. Yeah, that's a hard fight. Alright, I've talked about this base for long enough, I think. Overall, very good job, and I'm very impressed by your trophy count. If you're able to maintain that, that's a very impressive job, and good job. Keep it up. Let's move on to the next base, guys. Alright, here we are with Signo's base. So he has a comment here. I recently upgraded to Town Hall 7 after maxing out at Town Hall 6. It's made for hybrid purposes, so I assume that's both trophies and protecting resources. And then he continues, but for some reason isn't working out how I expected it would work. Wondering what you think about it. Alright, let's see here. So, I expect some of these defenses will be underleveled, as you say, that you just upgraded. So I can see like this archer tower and this mortar are both pretty new. This cannon as well. So, I mean, I'm not going to like count down against that. You did tell me you just upgraded after all. And maxing out is good. So, just checking the levels on things. I'm glad that you got your wizards up to level 3 before. That's always hard, and a lot of people have trouble doing that, as well as your mortars up to 4. Obviously, you want to keep doing them as possible. Let's see. How would... I would guess people who are attacking at this trophy count are mainly going for your resources. So, let's see how much resources you actually have currently. No gold, and... not much elixir. So, yeah, so probably people aren't too concerned at attacking right now. And this looks like a fine base. Now, one big thing is going to be, for sure, people raiding for resources. So, right now, if I pull this up, you've got 17,000 resources. So that means someone who attacks, who is your own town hall level, can steal about 8,500 resources from this single gold mine, period. And then they can steal from all these other gold mines as well. So, personally, I would find that pretty attractive if I was down at 1,200 trophies. So perhaps one solution is going to be to log on more often to make sure people aren't just raiding and taking out your gold mines. That isn't anything about rearranging your base, and you do a pretty good job of spreading them out. So I don't think there's anything really bad with that. Just if you can play more frequently, or not even more frequently, just get on more often, but don't play more. So just spread out your playtime. Alright, so you do have some interesting things going on with their walls. So you got a wall down here with this builder's hut that's in the segment. And this is intended to have wall breakers and stuff be distracted by it. Also certainly intended to have archer towers not be able to shoot over it and hit the mortar. I got some interesting thoughts about this. So, one thing that's interesting about this is you could have not included the builder's hut in it. So, you actually do that up here, so I'll look here. So, this segment of walls right here, which is sort of has a pocket in between. 1, it doesn't let archers shoot over it. 2, it won't actually attract any wall breaker hits. Instead, wall breakers are going to either go for this building over here or this building over here, because 1, they're closer, and 2, this wall is not in the way of going over here. They'll probably attack this wall and this wall right here, which will destroy it eventually, but they won't generally attack this wall straight on. I'm not sure if that's what you intend or not, but certainly something to be aware of when you're trying to predict how units are going to attack. Now, by comparison down here, by including the builder's hut in here, it completely changes things. So a wall breaker placed right here is going to go for the builder's hut, which means it's going to detonate on these walls. And if it blows up these walls, the next wall breaker's placed will go for these walls right here. The next ones, they'll go for these ones in here. Not sure if that's intended, but that's just how it's going to work. So maybe you might have had a bit of confusion about how wall breakers were going to react to walls like that. So you might want to consider moving the builder's hut out, or even splitting these up into more compartments. It only takes 1 extra wall and is somewhat effective at doing that as well. Now, another thing that could be causing you problems is the center of your base has something I would definitely recommend changing. So you've got 2 gold storages in the center. That's alright. It's ideally they'd be in different compartments, but that's fine. You have your clan castle in the center, which has no troops once again. Seems to be a trend in this video, I must say. But that's alright too. I like to keep it centralized as well. Now, the town hall in the center is really what I got the biggest issue with. By keeping your town hall in the center, it really doesn't provide any benefit whatsoever. When you're down at 1,200 trophies, there's no reason to try to protect trophies at all. Just naturally attacking, you're going to maintain about the same trophy counts. I think a lot of players are surprised when they try this. They'll move your town hall outside the walls, and then you're like, hey, I'm staying right at the same trophy count. I'm not like suddenly losing hundreds of trophies. Yeah, you really won't like fluctuate that much losing trophies. Just randomly winning and losing some, and you'll just stay about equal. Combining that with randomly winning and losing some on offense, you'll stay about equal as well. So, in the end, I would definitely recommend moving this town hall outside. First off, it gives you shields whenever it's destroyed. Second off, it will mean that you can have more defenses that are centralized. So moving mortars and wizards into the center, or maybe even air defenses. Although I don't think air defenses are really that necessary. You've got 2 fairly well protected, and I don't think you'll get attacked by air that often. But yeah, moving wizards and mortars into the center in the place of this town hall means that you're going to have more defenses that are centralized. Now, look at what this mortar can cover versus this mortar and this mortar. Each of them sort of has their own sort of third of the base, so you do a good job spreading it out. But notice this mortar that I currently have selected is not protecting this mortar right here, and likewise the reverse. And then this mortar is not protecting either of the others. And by protecting, it's not overlapping. So notice how the circle is not overlapping? Instead, if one of these mortars was right in the center, it would be protecting both of the other mortars, and then both the other mortars should be protecting it. This sort of overlapping defense is one of the most critical and most important factors that you want to keep an eye on, and you want it to be especially important for your splash damage buildings and your longer range buildings. So I think that's something you certainly should keep an eye out for and perhaps can improve pretty easily. Just move your town hall outside the walls and perhaps move a mortar and a wizard or so inside the walls. Last thing I'm going to say is your wall's doing pretty good. Just keep working on them. We haven't seen anyone with completely maxed out level 7 walls. Our last base had pretty good ones. I do like this fact right here, this little hole. I hope there's a spring trap in there. If it's a bomb, that's a waste. Just definitely do a spring trap in there if you have one. It does weaken your base against wall breakers, so it would be easier for someone to break in with wall breakers to get to the gold storages. However, I wouldn't think that's too likely, but either way is probably fine. If you're the sort of player who's not on a ton though, however, sort of as your gold mines sort of indicate, so this is, let's see if I can do the math. You haven't been on in about 10 hours according to this gold mine. So if you get tagged multiple times before logging on, you definitely don't want to have spring traps right there, because if they get detonated on the first attack, any subsequent attacks that go over the same place, well, the traps won't be there. Alright, that's all I'm going to say for this base, Signo. Thank you very much for submitting, and pretty good job. I hope those tips help you, and we had an interesting conversation there with the walls, so thank you for having that sort of creative, interesting layout. I hope that explains it if you weren't quite sure, and I hope everyone else learned something new right there. Alright guys, let's move on to the next base. Alright, here we are with another Town Hall 7, and this is a really pimped out base, as you can probably tell from all of the walls. Now, one thing to note is it's got some differences, so it doesn't actually have the Barbarian King up as quite a high of a level as our other Town Hall 7 base as from before, but some of the defenses are a bit higher, so the air defenses for sure, the Archer Towers you've got higher level. Level 8 cannon, so maybe I actually made a mistake, maybe 8 is the maximum. Perhaps it happens. Alright then, let's talk about some other things. So, you do have a comment here, and it is, I need help with what to do with the new 25 walls. They are outside my base right now, and just taking up space. I'd like to know a more efficient place to put them, and any other helpful tips would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. No problem. Here we are with your base, and I hope I can provide answers to some of those questions. Alright, so this inner base design, which is sort of like, it reminds me of like a B-2 bomber. I'm not sure if you guys know what that looks like, but it's basically one giant wing with then some jets on the back. So it's the shape of it reminds me of a B-2 bomber. I think this base is related to another YouTuber's base that someone recommended. I don't know whose. I just remember I reviewed one sort of similar to this, and in the comment section people were talking about how, oh, that base is so-and-so's base or related to so-and-so's base. I don't really remember. So I had some issues with this sort of overall inner base design before, and I'll reiterate them here, because I think it's pretty important to know. First off, by having one single large compartment right here, it weakens your base against giants and infantry. It doesn't help or hurt against archers, because archers shoot over walls. But imagine if everything was split up by walls, it would slow down giants, it would slow down barbarians, it would slow down goblins, and it would slow down giants. And I think I might have said giants, but giants especially, because giants will be going between your defenses. Now, because it's so big, those units can just jump between buildings right away without having to kill walls that would slow them down. Now, the second problem about this base design is that you've got this big, long segment of walls down here in the bottom that's sort of going in a diagonal. And you've clearly got 2 Teslas in here, and then you got builders and stuff, blah, 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 blah. Now, it's interesting, and it seems alright on the face of things. However, if you think about it, this is actually really inefficient use of walls. So you could take this exact same number of walls and put these squares that would go here, 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 here. Basically in a straight line down and a straight line up, which would create a whole new area inside the middle to play with. Now, why is this of concern? That means it would take the exact same number of walls and allow you to have a whole lot more buildings inside the walls. So definitely recommend having square or rectangular bases and not doing these sort of diagonal lines across. Even if it's like a sort of too thick, it sort of disguises it. So yes, there's that. Now, what to do with your walls? So I sort of touched on it before, but I would definitely recommend putting a couple wall segments in here to split up this large compartment. There's one downside of it, and that is it spreads out your defenses a little bit. So there'll be walls separating them. However, the amount of time it takes units to get through them is definitely beneficial. Now, the other thing is wall breakers, and how do wall breakers tie into all of this? And how to deal with these walls out here. So these walls clearly will be intended to attract wall breakers. However, they're not going to be doing a super good job at it. Why is that? Well, pretty simply, all these walls out here, they will be attacked by wall breakers. So let's do an example. So if wall breakers came in like right here, over up here on the top left, what would the wall breakers do? Well, they ignore these new spike walls, so that's pointless. They'll attack this wall once, and as soon as the wall has a hole in it, they're going to ignore the wall. Because what wall breakers do is they look for the closest building trapped by walls, which will be one of these defenses in here, and they'll go for it, blowing up any walls in the way. So they'll blow up these walls in here just because they're distracting enough that they'll go and detonate them, and then they'll detonate these walls in here. So basically it'll be 2 walls that wall breakers have to get through to get in. That's not very many. Ideally that'd be a lot more. What would be something that would use these same walls and take up a lot more wall breaker hits? Now, imagine you took these builders' huts right here, or even the builders' huts and the Teslas, and came out here and put like, say, the builders' hut right on this flower right here. Then surround it with walls. That would be, I think, 12 walls to surround it. Now, say you put a Tesla right next to it and surrounded it with walls as well. It wouldn't take the same number of 12 walls because it's sharing a few walls. If you decide to share the walls. But it would be like another, let's see, 12 minus 4, so it'd be another 8 walls. So with 20 walls right there, you would create 2 compartments. What that does is that will attract any wall breakers placed out here to those 2 compartments. So maybe I'll go draw an image of this in a minute to help you guys visualize it, but basically that would attract wall breakers and take up many more wall breakers than this current design would. Now, if you run out of builders' huts and Teslas, you can also use, well, I guess you got builders' huts on the side that aren't doing anything, so use those first. But you can also use it with like gold mines and stuff like that. That's not very important. They'll go for any building whatsoever that's enclosed by walls. Basically, you're trying to add more targets that will distract the wall breakers, and I think that would be pretty effective. And yeah. Now, one last thing I want to mention about this base is the fact that you've got all these decorations right out here. Decorations no longer block spawns, which you're probably aware of. However, for everyone who's not aware of it, decorations will slightly funnel guys. So units will not walk directly on top of the flowers. They'll sort of walk around the sides of them a little bit. It's not very critical, but it will cause them to group up a little bit more for things like your mortars to hopefully kill all the units at once. Just something to be aware of. Alright, so I'm going to head back home and draw out what I was meaning by those walls. So I'll do a design with a Tesla and a builder's hut. Perfect. So we got some room over here on the side of my base. Let's go and steal some walls and use them for this demonstration. That's a perfectly long segment. And let's take these ones as well. It's not going to be quite long enough, but we'll steal some more. Alright, so by just enclosing these 2 buildings like this, and then we're going to divide them as well into 2 separate compartments, that causes 2 new targets for wall breakers to go after. Just like that. Oops, close this. Alright, just like that. That's 2 new targets that wall breakers are going to be going after. Now, it depends how they're positioned as well. So, if wall breakers were attacking from this side where I'm tapping, they would detonate these walls right in here, which would mean 2 wall breakers could open up both of these compartments, which is not good. If they were attacking from this side, however, the wall breakers would be forced to attack this set of walls first, and then they'd attack this set of walls second, being 2 full compartments. So you want to arrange them in such a way that the wall breakers ideally wouldn't be able to bust open both compartments at once. And just with, I think it's about 20 walls I calculated earlier, that right there is a way to soak up lots and lots and lots of wall breaker hits. So I hope you guys find that educational, and I hope you guys can find that useful in your base. Now let's head on to the next base, and it'll be our final base, and we'll wrap up with that one. But I think this tip is good for everyone. Good job with that, Benji. Let's head on to the next one. Alright guys, here we have the Blaze, a member of Reddit United, one of the Reddit clans. Alright, so Blaze has a message here as well. So he says, I know my defenses are underleveled, but it took me ages to upgrade my Town Hall to get to level 6 walls, and I just started upgrading defenses. I have finished my splash damage buildings. I would mainly like a review on my setup and a bit on my defenses, please. Alright, so I guess that's mostly about how your buildings are laid out, and yeah, we can do that. Alright, so first off, when you're upgrading buildings, you might as well kick them out, because they're not providing any useful sort of purpose while they're in the inside other than distracting units that get in there, so they might as well distract guys on the outside before they attack any of your active defenses. So, I would probably move this guy outside the walls for sure. This archer tower is alright, because it's relatively outside, but you could just promote like this cannon or this archer tower in this mortar's place while it's upgrading. Now, beyond that, let's see. Unit upgrade-wise, yes, I agree, your defenses are under-leveled. You do have nicely level 5 mortars, as you so say, and your wizards level 4. That is very impressive to get both those up. I'd say that's like 2/3 of the fight when upgrading your defenses, just because they're so expensive and so slow to do both mortars and wizards. Impressive right there. However, I would say maybe you shouldn't have focused on them quite as hard, given that you still got some level 5 cannons and stuff. But looks like you're working on those as well. Air defense, I mean, this is fine. You don't need to have all these in here, probably. I'm going to say the same thing with the Town Hall. Probably when you're at 1340 trophies. Maybe you're going for trophies right now. But generally, you probably shouldn't have your Town Hall in this center unless you specifically want trophies for some reason. Like to get up in trophy count to get more Dark Elixir to upgrade your Barbarian King. Which, good job for having Barbarian King, by the way. Beyond that, I do like the base overall. The center would be a lot more compact without the town hall in there for sure. And you've got these sort of little stubby walls, which I assume are only here to push guys onto this gap, this gap, this gap, and this gap, which probably have spring traps on them. So those are good spots to have spring traps for sure. I definitely would recommend spring traps over bombs there. Now, you do take something that's interesting for my own base as well, and that is the fact that you have your gold storages out here, as well as your elixir storages. So this means that your storages are rather vulnerable to being taken out, given how close they are to the outside. However, it does mean that anyone who attacks will probably have a hard time taking out 2 or more of them, because they're so spread out. Basically, they would need to 3-star you in order to do that, which would be pretty hard. Also, do like how your gold storages are positioned next to your wizard towers, so your wizard towers are able to protect them. So you can see from the range of this wizard tower, any goblins that would get within range, as well as any other melee units, this wizard tower will have a field day smacking them. Of course, the mortars are within range of all of your storages, so that's good news there. And beyond that, where's your clan castle? Let's see if your clanmates have been donating and you haven't been requesting. So no. Continuing our trend this video of fill up your clan castle, guys. I mean, it's really hard to understate how important that is, just because it's just extra free defense. I mean, you're giving up like 10% of your defense, maybe? Maybe not quite that much, but a significant amount if you're forcing your guys to deal with it. Think about it this way. Say you have 20, well, how many guys do you have? Yeah, 20, so you got 20 supply here. Say you have 20 archers in here. Archers are pretty easy to get clanmates to donate, no problem with that. They're only level 3 or 4 if you get them. They're not even that good. Well, how much does that distract and hurt your enemy? Well, first off, having 20 archers will be equal to 20 archers of whoever is attacking. That's pretty obvious, right? Well, the other thing is it distracts them a ton. So not only does this burn time, but, for example, if your enemy deploys infantry to come in and attack here, so barbarians to take out the archers, then you've got a mortar right here to hopefully deal with them. And that's beyond just this archer tower and stuff. And that's because your clan castle on the outside. If your clan castle was in the middle, like once you make room with this town hall moving outwards, that would be even more effective because a clan castle guys would be jumping over walls and be protected by your walls, and it'd be impossible for any enemies to take them out without using a lightning spell until they came all the way out without deploying tons and tons of guys that would be in range of tons and tons of defenses. So basically, guys, be sure your clan castle is full when you have when your shield's about to run out. Now, the last thing about that is, if you have a clan where it's not super active and there's only maybe 1 or 2 guys on at the time who are donating guys, well, here's a great way you can get around that. When you request guys, there's a 20-minute cooldown before you can request more. That's pretty simple, right? Well, if you request more, the same guys who donated before can donate again. So if your 2 clanmates donate 10 archers to you, but no one else is online or active to donate more, wait 20 minutes, request again. If those 2 guys are still online, they can donate another 10 guys, filling you up to your 20. Alright guys, so that's some good advice with that. Let's talk about the general overall layout. I do like the little individual compartments. They do a good job of soaking up lots of wall breaker hits. Tesla's very obviously right there. These double walls don't really do anything, just because any wizards or any wall breakers that attack them will detonate on both walls. It does, I guess, do one thing in the case that giants break into this Tesla. They won't be attacking into this mortar next, which I guess is beneficial. Giants that attack this Tesla would go for this archer tower before then breaking into this cannon or this cannon. Probably this one, I would guess, but it's hard to predict. Overall, I would say the best things you can do is kick out town hall, improve the position of your clan castle, and that's about it. Just keep upgrading defenses. This is a good job, and you probably have some of the best walls for a pretty low level, or pretty newly Town Hall 6 base. So good job with that. I would also say don't worry too much about upgrading this air defense. By having one that's this well protected, just this is fine. The level 1 other one is fine. You might even think about putting it where this archer tower is, slightly less well protected position. Alright guys, so that's going to wrap up my Town Hall 7 review. So, hope you guys learned some new techniques. I talked about a lot of different things related to both Town Hall 7 and other general base design stuff as well. So I hope you guys, even if you were not featured in this video, can still get some good advice out of it. I can't, unfortunately, feature everyone who requests it. My most common question is, can you review my base? And sadly guys, I cannot review every base that I get a private message or comment for. I try to do these on video, and I try to just get the other ones that I can, but there's just way more of you than there are of me. So I hope you guys found this informative and enlightening, and found it helpful. Now, if you guys, I've mentioned it briefly before, but I'll go over it again. If you would like to be in one of these subscriber-based review videos, this is what you should do. Go to my Facebook page, that's linked in the description of this video, like the page, and when you see a post that says submit your Town Hall 7 bases here, submit your Town Hall 7. Please don't submit your Town Hall 8 because I cannot review it. The point of me creating videos based around Town Hall 7 is that if you guys want to see Town Hall 7s and you like this video, go check out my other Town Hall 7 videos. I have several videos out for each level of Town Hall, so you guys can get all sorts of different designs and bases reviewed. There's not only these 5 or so bases I reviewed this time. Alright guys, that's going to wrap up this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you have not subscribed, why don't subscribe? This is a subscriber-based review video after all, so subscribing is probably a good first step. Now, beyond that, if you guys have already subscribed, thank you very much for your ongoing support by liking, watching in general, and commenting below. I do appreciate it and do read your comments. Thank you guys very much for watching, and have a great day.